Hey guys, welcome back to channel. What if Naruto was adopted by Hollow Dragon Naruto X Harem? This is part 1, and if you want more then please leave a like, share and subscribe. Let's get in the video. October 10th, Konohagakure. The moonlit streets of the ninja village were empty. The hilltops were silent, save for the rustling autumn trees dancing to the graceful wind's tune, its leaves gliding towards the fields and paths, though scenic to most. This was a common occurrence in Konoha, likely the origin of its name. One particularly beautiful orange leaf got picked up by a sudden gust, flying over the Hokage monument and glancing down at the village. This same gust was picked up from a certain blonde shinobi in a small cottage outside the village. Something about it felt unnatural. He gave a sigh and brushed away the thought. He enjoyed the peace and didn't want anything to ruin it. "Minato, you bastard, get the fuck over here," screamed a woman in agony, grunts and cries of pain filling the room. Minato turned and shook his head. Peace, sigh. "Yes honey, I'm here for you." He gave a smile as he stood next to the bed with one Tsunade Senju. After all, being the Hokage had its perks, including having the best medic in the world deliver your baby. Well, that, and she was related to Kushina. "Ah. Really honey? Arg, fuck, you did this to me. I thought I told you no more kids last time." She screamed, causing the aforementioned shinobi and their Anbu guards to sweat drop at the shift in demeanor. Well, who could blame her? She's shoving a living being out of her. Okay, moving on. "But of course, my darling. I'm the strongest man in this village, you can count on me," he exclaimed with a brilliant smile. "Tsunade-sama. I think I see its head," urged a nurse. And just like that, the mighty Minato Namikaze had fallen in battle. Childbirth 2, Father 0, game, set, match, rip the yondaime. "DCH, boys," muttered Tsunade, getting a chuckle from Kushina Uzumaki, the wife of the Hokage, before the screaming continued. "I think that went well," exclaimed Minato, smiling ear to ear as he cradled a crying Naruto in his arms, causing a tick mark to make its debut on Kushina's forehead. "TCH, he was passed out the entire time. Went well, my ass databang." Her displeasure was cut short as she was handed her baby boy, an ear-splitting grin plastered on her face as she whispered to him, "Hello my baby boy, mommy loves you very much. I'm so happy, bless Kami-sama." "Natsumi, come here," she cooed, as Tsunade brought a 1-year-old girl over to the bed. "Say hello to your little brother honey." "Minato, what's wrong?" she questioned, noticing the serious look on the yondaime's face. "It's nothing, I just have this feeling that something bad will happen," he muttered, eyeing a certain orange leaf floating in the sky before him. It danced in the air before him before slowly ending its descent, and once the leaf made contact with the ground, the very earth seemed to quake, a resounding boom echoing throughout the surrounding forest. Minato's eyes bulged as he stared at the leaf, perplexed at how such a small leaf could cause such an earthquake. His wife seemed to pick up on his train of thought and sweat dropped. "My husband is an idiot, it's official, an idiot." However, all of their eyes narrowed as they heard another boom, one after another in rhythmic succession. It was only after the Hokage heard the first roar that he realized the issue at hand. He turned to the room's occupants, now filled with his most trusted Anbu and Jounin, that noticed the trouble. He took in a deep breath before addressing his ninja forces. As a war hero, he understood the need for charisma and confidence, but as he opened his mouth to rally his ninja, only one thought came out. "Pack, keep fighting. We must survive until the yondaime Mariaya," screamed the Jounin commander before he was struck by one of the fireballs raining from the sky. "Shit. Gr, this is such a drag," one Shikaku Nara said, a grim look on his face as the beast, now identified as the Kyuubi, gathered a dense sphere of chakra in front of its jaws, clearly about to launch this attack towards the village. Nobody wanted to fathom the amount of destruction it would cause, as they all braced for impact at its launch. "Nine Ninjin," roared the beast, launching the attack at tremendous speed. Everyone, including the Kyuubi, had a look of shock at a huge explosion. From behind the mountains, the Ino Shikacho trio narrowed their eyes, before the genius Nara's visage softened into a smirk. "Took you long enough, Minato, but thanks for teleporting that bomb, the village lives to fight on." The yellow flash landed next to his shinobi and gave a nod. "I apologize for the delay, but I will now take care of this. What's our status?" Inoichi Yamanaka was quick to answer. "Lord Sandaime has taken a company of Jounin and Anbu to combat the beast. All lower-ranking ninja are currently evacuating the civilians. Jiraiya-sensei and Tsunade are with my family right now, and..." Notice how he didn't mention Naruto to anyone. "This means that there is only one other cage-level ninja available to take on this beast." "You cold mean," stuttered Choza. "Hi, as the Hokage, it is my responsibility to protect this village, Shikaku. From this point forward, you are appointed Jounin commander of Konoha. Now, as my final order, evacuate this village. I want no more casualties than we've already had, do you hear me?" He brazenly commanded to the now emotional trio. They knew what that meant. He was going to sacrifice his life to take down that beast. "No more casualties, eh? I wish that were reality," choked out Shikaku. He hugged Minato, the other two following suit, before continuing. "It was honor, Lord Yondaime. I will fulfill my duty, as much of a drag as it may be. Arigato, now go." I will take care of the Kyuubi. He received 3 nods as they took off to find the other ninja to assist in evacuating the citizens. He bit his thumb and flashed through hand signs at godly speeds. Kuchius no Jutsu. Summoning jutsu, with a large plume of smoke, a gigantic toad entered the battlefield. Minato, what do you want? I was in the middle of a poker game with Gamak. The mighty Gamabunta paused to take a puff from his pipe as his eyes glanced over to the mighty mass of chakra before him. Minato, have I ever told you that being your summon has been horrible on my blood pressure? Causing the yellow flash to give a sheepish laugh. It'll have to make it up to you with some sake, he said before glaring at the Kyuubi demon. I know you can hear me, he shouted. The Biju are said to be incredibly intelligent, so I know you understand me as well. Why are you attacking us? I am a being of chakra. I need a sustainable source to survive, and your village just happened to be the grocery store that I intend to stock up at this time. There is another way of obtaining the chakra necessary for us to survive in the wild, but I'm not like my slut of a sister, Nibi, who seems to think being a succubus is cool, and I refuse to be caged up. Now die. Shouted the female kitsune before launching a massive ball of fire. Suiten. Daibafaku no Jutsu. Water release. Great waterfall, came the female voice landing on the toad's head as a gigantic waterfall countered the flames. Aheu Minato koi, she said quirkily with a smug grin on her face. Tsunade Senju quickly landed on the toad shortly after. Sorry Minato, partly on behalf of Kushina for that horrible joke, and partly because I know I was supposed to detain her back in the cottage. She has way too much energy for someone who just gave birth. Oh, don't worry, I know how stubborn she can be. She is in Uzumaki after all. He chuckled. Kushina, I need to do it, he said with a serious face. I need to seal the Kyuubi into Naruto. Hess the only newborn, and it's the only way to save the village. The look of horror on Kushina's face told him all he needed to know. You know. He is our son. We can, she exclaimed, exasperated, only to realize the truth behind her husband's eyes. It was the only way, she knew it, they all knew it. Sniff, Tsunade, please do it, please perform the summoning. I need to brace myself for this. Kuchius no Jutsu. Hentai no Baka. Summon. Jiraiya, Tsunade said before collecting her thoughts. Jiraiya, if you come here right now, I will let you do whatever you want with my tits for a whole day, she thought, cringing. Only seconds later, after a bright flash, the toad sage appeared amongst the group with 2 kids in tow. Creepy, said Tsunade. How awful, exclaimed Kushina. Sensei, really? Scolded Minato. Why haven't I removed you from the toad contract? Boomed Gamabunta. Why it? Exclaimed Jiraiya. Her tits are huge. I don't need the peanut gallery questioning me. I hope nobody has any more to say. Oten. Taju Doryuheki. Earth release. Multiple mud walls, shouted the Sandame Hokage, causing Jiraiya to deadpan before a massive earth wall coming into sight around the crew, a resounding impact indicating that a fireball had struck it. You disrespectful brats. Exclaimed the professor as his legendary bow staff nailed all the ninja in the face before he flashed to where Jiraiya was, catching the 2 children with ease, honestly, making the old man do all the work. He sighed. Minato was the first to recover. Gamabunta, please take on the Kyuubi. Buy us as much time as you can manage. He received a nod from the toad as it jumped beyond the wall to engage in combat as Minato flashed the gang to a hidden location. Tsunade, you are to take Natsumi with you on a journey. I will need you to be a sensei as well as a mother, causing the others to turn to Kushina with wide eyes. Minato can only use his Fuinjutsu to seal half of the Kyuubi into Naruto. That'd be unstable and would likely not bode well for Arsachi, being in Uzumaki. I'm the best suited to aid in the other half of the sealing, she explained through tears, hugging her mentor for the last time. As for Naruto, Minato stated, shifting his attention to his predecessor and sensei, Jiraiya sensei, I know as his godfather, you will want to take care of Naruto, just as Tsunade is for Natsumi. But with the death of myself and Kushina, Konoha will be weakened greatly. I need you to maintain your spy network for the village's sake, getting a stern, yet remorseful nod from the pervy sage. Sarutobi-sama, I hate to ask this of you, but please take the hat once more until there is someone worthy of the tile. Minato-kun, I am growing old, please don't make me do this. With the White Fang's tragic death, the list of candidates has grown short, but Shikaku Nara would make a fine Hokage, wouldn't you say? Questioned the professor. Hess a fantastic strategist, said Kushina. His skills with his bloodline are phenomenal, added Tsunade. He is renowned throughout the elemental nations for his battle prowess. I'd say Hess a great candidate, Jiraiya said, nodding in agreement with his sensei. I kinda made him, Jounin commander, already, the yellow flash squeaked out, causing the other ninja to fall over in I'm style. Subsequently getting a laugh from the 2 brats at their funny behavior. Anyways, please, you will need to watch over Naruto and take care of the village. I know I am asking a lot, but please, also, Natsumi already has the family name and will undoubtedly be targeted for it. However, I trust that being with a legendary sucker owl that hurt Tsunade-sama will deter enemies. Since Naruto being my son isn't widely known, I'd like his heritage to be hidden until he is at least a chunin, or if one of you deem him ready. Minato. I am sorry but I can't keep this up, Shess coming for why the toad boss couldn't even finish his sentence as he poofed out of existence. Ninjin, you have outstayed your welcome on this earth, now allow me to harvest the chakra I need by killing you. Die. With a nod, the two parents flashed through hand seals at a speed where even Jounin would not even be able to follow with their eyes, all the while gazing into each other's eyes lovingly. I love you, Minato, forever, Fuinjutsu. Shiki Fujin, Sealing Jutsu. Death Reaper Seal. And I love you, Kushina, always, Fuinjutsu. Haki no Fuin Shiki, Sealing Jutsu. 8 trigram sealing. It was over in an instant. Just like that, one of the world's worst crises had been averted, and two of the most powerful shinobi to have ever lived were dead. Tsunade caught the body of Kushina, as Jiraiya did the same for Minato, grief evident on their visage. The professor looked upon the crying Naruto and shed some tears himself. He could only pray to Kami that everything would work out. 9 years later, Konohagakure no Sado. Work out, the old man had always told him to exercise, but this was definitely not the way he wanted to do so. He darted into alleyway after alleyway, cutting corners to try to avoid as many members of the mob as he could, until the Anbu arrived like they always did. It was October 10th, his birthday and worst nightmare come true. Dodging sloppily thrown kunai, he scaled a building and took to the rooftops. Normally, the elderly Hokage was able to keep things at bay, but with his diminishing age and growing responsibilities, there was no way Hiruzen Sarutobi was able to regulate everyone, especially not on this day, the anniversary of the Kyuubi attack. He was only 9 years old, but was more knowledgeable than the entire crowd out for his blood. He knew who his parents were. He went to see his Jiji and demand answers. When he found out he was the Kyuubi container, he fondly reminisced about his first encounter with her. Flashback no jutsu. Ugh, where am I? You're in your mindscape, Naruto came a feminine voice. Naruto's eyes turned to the cage behind him and took in her features, her crimson red hair, scarlet eyes, and shapely figure burned into his eyes and memories, taking his breath away. Ano, who are you? Why is such a beautiful girl here? I am the Kyuubi no Yoko. The queen of the Bijuu and the most powerful existence to grace this world, and a total bombshell. If your reaction is any indication, she finished with a wink, causing Naruto to blush despite the circumstances, that is, until what she said had settled in. The Kyuubi, as in the one who attacked the village all those years ago. I thought you were killed. Please, like any human could kill me, your fourth Hokage, as you like to say, sealed me into you, and here we are. So I am a demon, no wonder they all hate me, he spoke in a dead tone, finally realizing why the village scorned him. No. The Kyuubi roared, disorienting the poor boy. After all, hearing such a deep demonic boom coming from a small, slender enchantress was too much to handle for anyone. You are not a demon, the only demons are them, and me, but that's besides the point, it's not your fault, Naruto. But Naruto was interrupted by her pulling him into an embrace, shocking him. I know you've had a tough life, and I've been doing my best to heal you every time you were injured, she said, causing Naruto's eyes to widen in admiration and gratitude. Though I can't claim much credit, I am the reason for your pain after all, she muttered with a downcast expression, but at the very least you won't be alone, nah. I'll be here for you. She said with a smile that, almost, looked like a smirk. Though Naruto didn't notice this, years of suffering showed itself in his eyes, as his mental dam broke due to the kindness she was showing him. It was completely new for him. Arigato sniffy, arigato, Kyuubi-san, he cried joyfully as he collapsed in her arms. They'll take care of you, and give you the love you never had from now on, Naruto, she said softly, causing a genuine smile to spread across his face as he drifted to sleep. Flashback no jutsu, Kai. Damn. A dead end. He exclaimed, turning to face the mob that had caught up with him, seemingly thanks to the man in front, likely a retired shinobi. You? Kyuubi? You killed our beloved fourth. My wife. My daughter. And countless others. It's time to face retribution, you beast. He screamed as he attacked, dodging the kunai. Naruto jumped to scale the buildings like he had previously, turning his back, he failed to notice the man's smirk. Ninpo? Kajime no jutsu, ninja art. Shadow imitation technique, shouted the man, apparently a member of the Nara clan, as his shadow paralyzed the young blonde, allowing the crowd to bind him further with ropes before torturing the poor boy. He was stabbed in the stomach repeatedly, enduring the pain before Hirigenera. Ted, he wasn't healing. The Kyuubi wasn't healing him. Oi, Kyu-chan. Why aren't you the pain was overwhelming as a civilian took a torch and slammed it into his stomach. So why wasn't the Kyuubi healing him? Simple, she was observing the seal. For some reason, it had weakened, likely due to the physical abuse to his stomach from the villagers. Perfect, she thought, now just to break him mentally too. Sorry Ninjin, I don't deal with bratty shrimps, you actually thought I gave a shit about you? Please, why would I? She growled, shocking the boy. I just had to cozy up to you, Naruto, so that your bond would weaken the seal, and then I can be free. Haha, why? The poor boy stammered, choking on the most painful sobs in his life. I thought why you were the one W who would love me forever and ever, right? he questioned, his eyes begging for confirmation. Come on, one more push, thought the Kyuubi. Ahahaha, dream on, brat, you were nothing but my container. I could have broken out earlier, but I wanted to absorb some chakra from you. Uzumaki have quite the pool. Then you're the reason I am failing as a ninja. Why, you're taking my chakra. I can't, he said with hollow eyes. Please, spare me the drama, face it, brat, you haven't been loved, and you never will be. No, his mind flashed back to the villagers scowling at him. No, the thought of Sakura rejecting his love for Sasuke team. No, the pain of all the beatings, stabs, and torture he was subjected to by the village. No. And just like that, the dam broke. This was the state Naruto was in when the Anbu arrived with the Hokage. He was screaming his lungs out, shaking uncontrollably, the Hokage struggling to restrain him. Shikaku Nara looked to the mob and saw the man from earlier, one Hero Nara, as his eyes narrowed, without even weaving any hand signs. A shadow tendril came from Shikaku's profile and ruthlessly stabbed Naruto's main assailant through the chest. It was a brutal execution considering it was his clansman, but was paid little mind compared to what would come next. Yes. This is my opportunity. The Kyuubi screamed as she seized control of his body, knocking the professor back before breaking the seal and sending forth her chakra and subsequently her conscience out of Naruto's stomach, leaving him a bloody mess. His eyes held an empty, broken look as he let out a soundless scream from all the pain. The crowd, having forgotten about Naruto in light of the current situation, gasped as the Kyuubi, in her monstrous kitsune form, materialized in front of them, breaking the buildings she rested on, killing all the residents unfortunate enough to be in her way. You know, for humans that are supposed to be compassionate, you really suck, she growled out, before glancing at Naruto. I do feel some guilt for harming the brat, but such is life. I'm a far superior being, like hell. I'm remaining in a weak vessel. I'm going back to my chakra garden. I've had enough of humans to last me a lifetime. Good grief. With a mighty roar she leapt over the village and sped to the distance, disappearing from sight. The crowd looked at the young blonde sprawled on the dirt, his blood staining the ground in their minds. Naruto kept shaking, tears and blood flowing without end, his sobs piercing everyone's ears. Wait, the Kyuubi clearly left, so why is he still alive in here? I thought he was the Kyuubi, said one civilian, clearly asking the question on every non-shinobi's mind. Hiruzen Sarutobi stepped forward and glared at the crowd. That is the point we were all trying to make, he said through clenched teeth, fighting back the tears that threatened to escape. He was the leader of this village. He could show no weakness. He was every bit as human as every one of you, no, more so, you all have been the true demons, tormenting this boy that saved all of our lives. He screamed, the crowd was visibly shaken, the men with haunted, horrified expressions, some women even falling to their knees and sobbing. It was instantaneous, as if a genjutsu had been simultaneously lifted from every one of them. This undeniable proof that this boy was human sent waves of guilt over the village. Both the shinobi and the stronger villagers that maintained some form of composure would soon lose it as they turned to the Hokage kneeling with the boy in his arms. Hi Hokage Jiji, sniff, am I really that much of a demon? He questioned before coughing up gobs of blood. No. Naruto, you clearly know about the Kyuubi, it is the demon, not you. Cried the Hokage, his tears reflecting his broken heart, seeing the suffering of this child, but no number of shinobi wars could have steeled him for the words that came next. If I am not a demon, then why does nobody love me? He cried, before going limp in his grandfather figure's arms, as more and more became aware of what had happened. A colossal wave of sorrow washed over the village, there was no denying it. Naruto was dead. The crowd was silent, as if they were placed in some strange ninjutsu, because they were, even the Anbu, Shikaku Nara, and the notable Jounin were caught in the spell. Noticing the spike in chakra, the professor moved to release the genjutsu on his village, but his mobility had been a victim of old age, even though he was still one of the fastest men alive. He was no match for S-rank nin anymore, and thus fell victim to the assailant that landed in front of him. Hodamatsukami. Distinguished heavenly gods, please forgive me, Hokage-sama. Not the trip home that you expected, Natsumi-chan. Asked a second shadow that flew down to join the identified Ichizukugarashi no Itsumi, the clan killer Uchiha, Anne. Told you to expect Itachi, she received a glare, to which she put her hands up in defense. Sorry, I know that's rough territory, anyways, we came here to capture the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but clearly that didn't go as planned. HN was the only reply she got. Itsumi Uchiha was too busy staring at the prone figure of Naruto, a look of remorse on her face. Gomenasai Minato-sensei, Kishina-sensei, Kakashi Taichu, and I let you down, we all let you down. You seem rather attached to him, Itsumi, and I understand why though, even I'm sort of drawn to him, he reminds me so much of Muku. Itsumi glanced at her partner, her white hair covering her Kusagakure headband with a horizontal line scratched in, a green bandana tied around her arm. You're right, Rise Etsu-chan, our parents were very close. Back when I was in Anbu, I was assigned as his protector. I agree to see him as the little brother I never had sheeped out. And? Yep, Sasuke is Sasuke, but why did I say Sasuke team in the last chapter? Haha, well see the Uchiha sisters and Haku are the only gender bins though, don't worry, oh and Raizetsu is from the Naruto Blood Prison movie if you need to look her up, though her story's altered a tiny bit. Looks like I'm going to have to accelerate my plans far before I had anticipated. Ryu-chan, you're loyal to me, right? Even if I were to betray Akatsuki? She asked, shocking her partner before the latter compassed herself. Sumi-chan, do you remember when I first joined? You were the one who saved me from the blood prison when my foolish plan for vengeance blew up in my face and it seemed as if the world was ending. I still have nightmares of Satori, you know, I only pray that nobody else would have to see and fight that demon, she explained, shuddering at the mere mention of her haunted past. Anyways, the only reason I joined Akatsuki was to travel and fight alongside you, you're practically my sister, Itsumi ni, she exclaimed with a pump of her fist and a winking smile, causing the normally stoic Uchiha to chuckle. Arigato Ryuni, she said with a teasing tone, before becoming serious, listen, we are leaving the Akatsuki's evil scheme, let's start by destroying our rings, that'll help set them back, and hopefully free us from their grasp. They both tossed their rings in the air, forming hand seals as they spoke. Kaiten. Onidori. Fire release. Demon Lantern, Kaiten. Karyu Enden. Fire release. Fire Dragon Bullet. A small flame ghost and a gigantic fire dragon consumed their respective rings as Raizetsu sweat dropped. Isn't that, extreme overkill, Uchi-chan? I always hated Akatsuki and stop changing nicknames every time you address me. But they're clever, she said with a pout. I will use Tsukiyomi on you if you don't shut the fuck up, she glared, immediately silencing the white-haired beauty as she looked down and pouted even more, with a sigh. Itsumi continued explaining their situation. We're turning on some of the most powerful ninja alive. Orochimaru did so in the past and he wasn't pursued to a great extent, but just in case. There is someone we can ally ourselves with to bolster our chances of living safely. Oh? Who? She asked, bouncing around as if she were a kid trying to predict a Christmas present. Jiraiya of the Sannin, I was his contact in Akatsuki. Wait a minute, this isn't just a random change of heart, you were a spy the entire time, and you didn't tell me? Raizetsu did a fantastic fish impression, and after 5 minutes of letting the shock fade, just filed it under her list of crazy ninja shit. Okay, whatever, so we meet him and then what? The three of us train Naruto, take jobs for money, I really don't know what to do, Itsumi said, stretching her sore limbs. Oh okay, sounds like a plot. Wait, what has dead, what do you mean, we can't revive him? Oh hell no, Raizetsu trailed off seeing Itsumi's serious look, you're really giving your eye for him. Hi, when I implanted Shisui's powerful eye, I kept my other Sharingan eye in a seal just in case, who knew it'd be using it for such a thing, and so early, anyways, you know the drill right? We talked about this before in case we ever lost an important comrade. Yeah, if you were present and ready right at the time of the death, you can use the Izanagi straight up to bend reality to your will. But that doesn't work if it's been even minutes since the death, or if you haven't seen it personally. In that case, I use my dragon life reincarnation, which would normally kill me, but throughout the process, you use your Izanagi to reverse my death. You know it'll follow you in anything, but if you mess up it's my neck on the line. Why are we, and by we I mean me, risking so much for a no-name brat? He lost the Kyuubi already, what's special about him? The Kusanin asked out of curiosity. That's the unknown child of Minato Namikaze and Kashina Uzumaki, Itsumi casually said as if it was common village. Where have I heard those names before? Raizetsu pondered before her gaze turned towards the Hokage monument, causing her jaw to drop yet again. Yep, she pulled out the list of crazy ninja shit and a pencil. Sigh, fine, you ready Itsumi-chan? Always, she replied, activating her Sharingan. Let's just get this over with. Raizetsu and Itsumi gave each other a swift nod before molding amounts of chakra that would take out the entirety of an average Jounin's reserves for their respective jutsu. Raimei Tensei. Dragon life reincarnation, Raizetsu shouted as she began to glow with a bright white aura before channeling chakra and life force into Naruto. Meanwhile, as the Uchiha began to clear her mind and concentrate her chakra into her eye, she was carefully monitoring her partner's vitals with the mandatory basic medical training that Itsumi received back in Anbu. Almost. That's almost revived, which means she's almost dead. Almost. Raizetsu, you fucking tank die you bitch. Almost. Jesus, can she revive a person without losing her life? That's overpowered as fuck. Wait, she's dying, here we go Izanagi. And just like that, the dying Raizetsu was pulled back into the real world due to the distortion of reality. Panting, the two girls high-fived each other before turning to the young boy. An unspoken question was tossed onto the discussion table. As the two communicated with their eyes, they each balled their fists and attacked each other. Ryutsumi. Ryuzetsu. Jan. Ken. P.O. "Yaura bitch," muttered Raizetsu with a sour expression on her face and an unconscious Naruto on her back. "Hey, I'm the cripple here," Itsumi said as she glanced over with her eye, singular, plus rock beat scissors she said, sticking her tongue out at her comrade, "I'm writing to Jiraiya right now, stop distracting me." "Stop distracting me," Raizetsu mimicked before she noticed her luggage shifted, signaling her partner and walking to a nearby tree for shelter. She set the boy down against the trunk and stood in front as Itsumi knelt down beside him. Naruto woke up disoriented. "Where am I?" He shook his head, his eyes adjusting to the light. He glanced forward and saw a woman with a gorgeous figure, her white silky hair shining in the sun. An angel. "I must be dead," he said to himself, earning a blush from the woman that he was too groggy to notice. "No, you're very much alive, Naruto," came a voice from his right, causing him to turn and see the girl next to him. "Weasel-chan?" he questioned, earning a nod from the shocked Ichiha. "Hi, but how did you know Naru-kun?" she asked, noting the fact that he winced at the nickname. "I don't know, you just felt familiar I guess. And I connected it to the presence of the Anbu that always saved me when I was younger, so has a sensor, interesting, we'll have to take this into consideration for training." Itsumi pondered as Naruto's face suddenly lit up in realization. "Oh, and Weasel-chan. Call me Itsumi ni, I always considered you a little brother," she said as she ruffled his blonde locks. "Hi Itsumi ni, arigato, I know it must have been hard protecting me all that time," he stuttered with a blush, triggering something within the stoic woman beside him. So cute. He soon turned to the figure looking down above him as he glanced up and down her figure before becoming transfixed at a certain spot. "What is it, brat?" the woman asked. Panties," muttered Naruto before he acquiesced to the need to sleep. Itsumi sprang to action as she tackled her partner to the ground. "Let me go, Uchiha-sama. Stop changing the way you address me. I am going to. You are not going to kill him." "Atsu-chan," she screamed in exasperation. "Tsukiyomi," she growled, her comrade falling with an eep. And a thud, with a sigh, she sealed the message she had been working on before conjuring a crow. "Take this to Jiraiya-sama," she said, before turning to her two friends. She shook her head and started to walk towards her destination, summoning two shadow clones without hand signs to carry the two that were knocked out. "Yep," she said glancing up to the sky as she reminisced about the recent events. "Some crazy ninja shit indeed. Your pervert. Konoha has been worse to Naruto than we expected, due to circumstances I'm not completely familiar with. It seems the Kyuubi exploited Naruto's physical and mental weakness. And by weakness, I mean he was tortured in order to escape. This definitely killed him, but my partner and I were able to revive him. I have used Jinjutsu of extreme potency to prevent anyone seeing the revival of Naruto. In addition to this, I have used one of my trump cards on Lord Sandaime. I can influence him a bit, possibly to schedule a meeting with him if we desire the integration of myself and Naruto back into Konoha. It's up to him though. I doubt he wants to return to such a place. Anyways, the details of our jutsu will not be disclosed in this letter just in case. But know that I will be seeking a medic nin's help for surgery. I wonder if Tsunade-sama is available. Regardless, due to the recent events I found it prudent to remove myself from Akatsuki. I will meet you in the ruins of Yuzushiogakure no Sato at noon on October 13th. Its remote location will be beneficial for numerous reasons. Crow. Seems like this period of peace will be short-lived. Damn Konoha, what Sarutobi-sensei thinking? Thought the Toad Hermit, infuriated by the fact that Minato and Kushina's last will hadn't been seen through. He, and all of the others who made a vow, had failed them. "Sorry ladies, y'all have to make do without me. I have business to attend to," he said, losing his goofy perverse demeanor as he vanished from the brothel. October 13th, 3 days after Naruto's death. Oi, what is this place? Why are we here?" questioned a confused blonde brat. "This, Naruto, is your home. You mentioned that you knew of your heritage." Itsumi asked, earning a nod. "Well, welcome to the land of the Uzumaki, Yuzushiogakure. This ruined temple is part of the remains of the village when it was attacked jointly by Kumo, Kiri, and Iwa. As for why we're here," she sighed, running a finger through her long, shiny raven locks. "We're supposed to meet Jiraiya of the Sannin, your godfather and protector of Konoha. Once we fill him in, he should be able to help us train you and find a way to carry on with our lives." "Well, where is he?" he huffed out. "That's probably distracted, chasing after some girls." "Sigh, that pervert," muttered Itsumi. "Some protector of Konoha he is," chimed Raizetsu, a look of disgust on her face. She hated perverts. Panties. She shook her head with a blush. She should hate the blonde brat for peeking on her. Even if it was an accident. But, she couldn't help but almost find him cute with his foxy smile, his thick blonde hair. Arg. She shouldn't have used Raime Tensei. How was she supposed to know that she binds her soul and heart to him too? God, if she feels this way now, what happens when he grows up? Will she fall in love? Her thoughts were interrupted when Naruto growled, "Protecting Konoha, like they deserve what he does, what I did," he bitterly spat out. "Boy, Naruto, a lot of us have given up a lot for the sake of the village," said the Uchiha. "What do you know about suffering? Do you know what it's like to live to protect them only for them to scorn you?" He exploded. "Shut up, brat. I do, in fact I fit that description to the letter. What do I know about suffering? Let me show you. Tsukiyomi. Where are we? My memories, just watch, said Itsumi, causing Naruto to turn back to the room in front of him and seeing another Itsumi. Shisui. Don't do it. Cried the Itsumi illusion. No, it's not safe for my eye to still exist. I've been greatly weakened and am now left vulnerable, ripe for the picking. Damn that Danzo, beware Itsumi-chan, for Konoha is going to live through dark times, he began, taking a deep breath before swiftly jamming his fingers into his eye socket and pulling out his unique Sharingan eye, letting a loud scream of pain out. Naruto promptly lost his lunch. I hope this helps you in your journey, cousin. It was an honor to fight beside you as my best friend, he said, creating a storage seal before tossing it to Itsumi. Goodbye. Wait Shisui no don't, she screamed before he smiled at her, falling backwards down the cliff, the only sounds in the forest being the roaring waterfall behind them, and somehow, with a piercing sound much louder to Naruto than the powerful force of nature, were Itsumi's sobs. They then flashed to a dark room, showing a young Itsumi holding a sword to her father's back. Itsumi-chan, I see you have made your decision. I understand your position, and while I do not agree, I am proud of you. You have grown up to be a beautiful and powerful ninja, one Fugaku Uchiha stated, a smile gracing his normally passive face. I could not ask for a better daughter, he said, a tear escaping his eyes. Itsumi was visibly shaking, tears streaming down her face as she used her other hand to cover her mouth, preventing her sobs from reaching his ears, as if fate wasn't cruel enough already. Fugaku heard this and sighed. Itsumi. Do not fret. We are ninja. We are prepared to die, prepared to kill. Hi, Otu-san, she cried, plunging her sword into his back, piercing him through his heart. That's my girl, he said, falling down with a thud. Her father was dead, by her hands. Just as she was about to turn, she heard the door open. Ah-san, you shouldn't be here, Itsumi said with an empty yet horrified expression on her face, as she pointed her short sword at her mother. Hi, you need to kill me too, right? I wasn't involved with the coup, but I did see this. Nah, Itsumi, she said, crying due to seeing her eldest daughter's broken state. I'm not mad at you, just as your father wasn't, it's just the opposite. Please, take care of your sister, she said, stepping towards her. I love you, my beautiful baby girl. I only wish you didn't have to suffer alone. She pushed herself onto her daughter's blade, smearing the blood on Itsumi's Anbu armor as she brought her into a hug. Be strong, love, always remember, your father and I will be watching, and you won't be alone, she muttered, her life leaving her. No, Nuo. Itsumi screamed, dropping the blade, and the only thing holding her mother up, they fell to the ground together as she grabbed her head with a horrified no, traumatized look on her face, and screamed. Gigamenasai Itsumi ni, I had no idea, you were the one who massacred the Uchiha. I didn't know, just like a lot of things, he bawled as he clenched his fist. I don't know what it's like to lose family, because I didn't really have one, but even though you lost yours, doesn't mean you don't have one now. He exclaimed, wiping his tears. It's okay Naruto, you didn't know, she said, wiping her tears as well. No matter how strong she may be, she couldn't go through that without being emotionally devastated. Nobody could, but what do you mean by that last part, Naruto? You said it yourself, right Itsumi-ni? I'm going to be your brother, and I'll protect you and your heart till the day I die. He said with a bright smile, causing the normally stoic girl to blush. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said with a smile, as Naruto suddenly had a realization. Her mother talked about Itsumi having a sister, but that would mean Sasuke is a girl, no fucking way. Thought Naruto, crying at the scene in front of him but still astute enough to pick up on that, explains why she never responded to any girls. Wait, I kissed a girl. He thought before Raizetsu interrupted. Alright you two, stop with the sap, the old man has arrived, chimed Raizetsu, having sensed a massive chakra signature in the temple. About time, Iro-sama, what took you so long? I said noon, said Itsumi with a glare. I got, sidetracked, yeah, sidetracked, muttered Jiraiya sheepishly. Whatever, Jiraiya-sama, let me fill you in on what happened, began Itsumi. 2 minutes later, packing hell. Jiraiya seethed, damn ungrateful worms. Will fire my ass when I get to them. Hold up Jiraiya-sensei, I was just as mad as you, but we need to look forward. I trust Naruto doesn't want to return to Konoha. Getting a firm nod and a scowl from the boy. As of right now, the common belief is that Naruto is dead. I have placed an exceptionally strong and lasting Jinjutsu on the Sandaime, so if we want to meet with him. Hi, and I can contact Tsunade and your sister, we can travel together and. That won't be necessary, father said Naruto, earning a shocked look. You and Itsumi-ni, even Ryu-chan are enough family for me. Ni-chan always protected me as a kid, and I know it was you that always sent me money to survive, even when everyone overcharged me for basic necessities. Ryu-chan basically revived me and risked her life, he said, tearing up. I don't hate my parents. And I don't hate those who didn't directly really wrong me, Hokage always said, don't waste your energy on hating others, it's an unproductive lifestyle that only hurts you, but I'm also not going to forgive them for what they've done, he bit out, the others nodding in understanding. Ah shucks, Jiraiya said with a wide grin, rubbing the back of his head, I guess I do get to be a father in this lifetime after all, Yosh. We are going to train you to be the best ninja ever. He exclaimed with a thumbs up, causing everyone to smile, the mood effectively restored. Gaki, channel chakra into this, said the Toad Sage, as he used wind manipulation to float the paper to Naruto. Doing as he was instructed, he shocked the other 4 inhabitants. In the temple as the chakra paper split into several pieces, with one piece wrinkling and then bursting with a spark, another literally becoming water, another crumbling away, and another one slightly burning and then turning to ash. Holy shit. An extremely strong affinity with water, wind, and lightning and 2 affinities with fire and earth. This is fucking ridiculous, screamed a shocked Raizetsu, also expressing the thoughts on everyone's minds. Itsumi was the first to recover. Naruto-kun, when you identified me, you displayed an incredibly powerful sensory skill. Raizetsu will be training you in that, as well as Kusa ninjutsu, began the Uchiha. Meanwhile, I will train you in fire ninjutsu, and some other elemental techniques I copied with my Sharingan, as well as Jinjutsu. I taught your father, so I'm the best bet to teach you some of his techniques and mine. I'll also have the toads train you in Senjutsu, and maybe even have you sign the contract, added Jiraiya. Interacting with the toads won't be necessary, for he has already been bound to the dragon summoning contract simply by being here, said a small dragon from behind a broken pillar, shocking the crew as it stalked forward, steadily growing to be several stories tall. What? Asked a flabbergasted Jiraiya. Surely, Mr. Dragon, this can't be so, a Ren contract supposed to be signed and bound by blood. Getting a huff from the dragon. I have been the protector of the Uzumaki clan for centuries, but the last summoner I had was Ashina Uzumaki, well before your time. I only respond to those with a pure soul and the perseverance to match a dragon's unwavering will. After being evaluated by this decrepit yet powerful temple, I have been bound to him and will never leave his side. As far as this proposed training session goes, I will train him in elemental ninjutsu, including unique combined transformations. I will also be teaching him draconian magic, stated the mighty beast. Also, female. Oh yeah, well, still the Agryu in this party, Raizetsu joked with a goofy grin and a peace sign. Tsukiyomi, sigh, you two brats are so immature, muttered Jiraiya, causing everyone to sweat drop, and Yaour want to talk was the unanimous thought. Jiraiya picked up on this and had the decency to blush in embarrassment before continuing. Itsumi, trap Naruto in a Jinjutsu to take control and make a blood clone for him, getting a nod as she sped through the hand signs, forming 2 blonde brats that stared each other down. The blood clone will come with me and Itsumi to mount Mayaboku. The toads will also be able to help you with your eye, Itsumi, he said, earning a grateful bow from the Uchiha. Meanwhile, the original will go with Raizetsu to the dragon's domain. This will remove us from the elemental nations, both protecting us and giving the best environment to train. Well, make you S rank nin in no time at all, Naruto-kun, Itsumi said. Ah no, Dragon-chan, what's your name? It doesn't feel right addressing you in such a disrespectful way, asked Naruto, digressing with an innocent brilliance that only a child could possess. Ahahaha, the dragon roared with laughter. I see I made the right choice after all. My name is Rumi, young master. You are the only one I will allow to call me by my name, she vowed, causing a bright smile to appear on Naruto's face. Rumi-chan, that's a beautiful name. He beamed with so much sincerity that it was almost suffocating, and, was that dragon, blushing. The bulk of your training will revolve around one unique technique, Jiraiya said, interrupting the moment. TCH, insensitive hermit. What's that? Naruto asked, confused by the proposition that one thing could hold such influence over his training. What do you know about the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu? Time skip, 3 years of training done. If I talk about the training, y'all will know what he can do. That's no fun. It's also not fun to read or write. Naruto-koi, which job should we take now? Raizetsu asked as she turned to ask the leader of their 3-man squad, going by the name of the Heavenly Dragons. Not gonna be HSDXD crossover, just thought the name was cool. The group had made quite a name for themselves throughout the elemental nations, donned in identical draconian masks to hide their identities. Save for Naruto's with a golden face instead of silver, they took jobs for every person and village in the elemental nations. The only thing that mattered was the pay, although, they maintained their morals so as to not degrade themselves into being like the Akatsuki. Although there are always 2 sides to every conflict, both oftentimes believing themselves to be right. They did their best to research and do what they thought was morally correct. We're off to the land of snow, the blonde stated, his mask off revealing a handsome, manly face and deep blue eyes. He certainly grew to be a fine shinobi, standing at 6 feet tall and still growing. His well-defined muscles were open for display, wearing only his black cargo pants and shinobi sandals, and a cape around him very similar to the fourth Hokage's. Only it was white and blue with a kanji for Tempest on the back. I hope you two have warm clothes. The Heavenly Dragon trio was currently on a ship on the way to the land of snow, having been hired by some old hoot for a handsome sum to protect some actress and the production company. The sailing was smooth, the only rough part coming from a certain couple's room. Yes, give it to me Narukoi, fuck me, fuck your little slut, a feminine voice called out, moaning in ecstasy. This was what one Itsumi Uchiha heard from the room next to hers. Groaning, she shoved her head underneath her pillow, trying to muffle or hopefully even tune out the sounds coming from the next room. I am Kumiing. Our god fucking damn it, screamed Itsumi, flipping over and punching her pillow. Luckily, it didn't cause any additional commotion, since her smacking was in perfect rhythm, with the pounding coming from the room next door. The ship they were sailing on definitely did not have soundproofed rooms, much to the dismay of everyone else on board, but nobody had it worse than the girl right next door. She was tired, frustrated, and extremely wet. This was how missions would normally go. She'd sleep in a different room than the bombshell couple that is Naruto and Raizetsu, and they'd fuck all the time, again and again. Boy, was she floored when they returned from their training trip, only to find that they had become official. Something big must have happened, after all. In their first interaction, Raizetsu almost killed the blonde brat for seeing her panties. Now every time they're alone, she strips everything off and begs him to fuck her, his big cock pumping in and out of her no. Bad Itsumi. She scolded herself for thinking naughty things about her little brother, but boy did it turn her on. Somewhere along the 3 years she spent with Naruto, she too fell for the blonde Casanova. He was just so charming, sincere, strong, funny, hot. Call me Itsumi ni, I always considered you a little brother. Fuck, why did she have to say that to him? Naruto exclusively looks at her as a sister, almost worshipping his super kick-ass One-chan as he liked to say, chuckling. She was quickly brought out of her reverie by the sound of Raizetsu orgasming, again. Pack morals. Itsumi seethed, stripping out of the dragon robes that became the trio's icon, unsealing her short sword, removing it from its sheath. She quickly got onto all fours and stabbed the sword into the wooden headboard, not giving half a shit about vandalizing the property. She began to deep-throat the sword, ramming the scabbard into her drenched pussy, all the while fantasizing about our favorite blonde hero, That's right Naruto-kun, fuck your One-chan, that's right, your sister has been a dirty girl, I need to be punished, yes, fuck your sister, yeah, fuck my pussy, oh god I am Kuuming. Her eyes bulged out of their sockets, differently patterned Mangekyo Sharingan's blaring, burning the sensation into her mind. Satisfied with her release, she succumbed to the night and slept, her repressed desires surfacing subconsciously with the last thought before she passed out, I will make Naruto mine. Meanwhile, in the cabin next door, they are quite energetic today, Narayu-chan. Asked Naruto with a foxy smirk, which only served to turn on his partner even more as she bounced energetically on his cock. Hi Narukoi, she gasped out as she rode him into oblivion. Fuck I am coming again. She screamed, plopping down on his chest as she stared lovingly into his eyes. It's just, so many girls have been looking at you, and I wanted to remind you exactly who owns you and this monster of a cock. Speaking of, you didn't coom with me, naughty boy, we need to fix that, don't we? She mewed as she leant forward to give him a kiss before crawling backwards on the bed, making sure to wiggle her ass in front of him as she moved. She laid herself down with her face in front of his 10-inch sword he calls his dick, before wrapping her hot moist mouth around the member. Yeah, just like that babe Naruto cooed, as he propped himself up with his arms to get a better view of her handiwork, inadvertently causing his core muscles to flex. The view was also improved for Raizetsu, as her eyes glazed over at the sight of his six-pack and defined chest. She pushed his cock deeper into her throat, causing Naruto to groan before grabbing her head with one of his hands and push her head down on his dick, fascifacking her for what seemed like eternity. Finally, deciding she had enough, ascended for a bit of respite before crawling back slowly, licking his chiseled abs all the way up his torso until reaching his face, kissing him again. Time for the finale, love, she said as she dropped straight down on his dick, the searing rod reaching her womb as she screamed in pleasure. Suck my tits, play with my body, make me your toy. She demanded, leaning closer while riding and grinding him, not one to disappoint. Naruto latched onto her D-cup jugs and took her left nipple into his mouth, sucking them dry as his right hand played with the other, pinching and massaging, much to her delight. Ryu-chan, I'm going to come soon, he grunted, his hips forcefully bucking up to meet her, speeding up their rhythm. Me too narrow mile per hour, she said, before being muffled with a kiss. She arched her back and tensed as she felt the pressure built up climb over the tipping point. Her pussy clamped down on his searing rod that pumped hot semen deep into her pussy, her mind widening out with pleasure as she screamed out for the last time that night. At least, that's what the rest of the ship's inhabitants hoped. And action. shouted the director as they continued filming the same scene over and over again due to the renowned actress always stopping to complain about one thing or another. Sometimes it was about the acting, but mostly it was I want some food or I'm thirsty or I'm tired or I'm bitchy. Well, the last one probably didn't actually happen, but it certainly seemed that way for a trio standing at the bow front part of the ship. So you two had a restless night, of passers-by mentioned to Naruto, and Raizetsu kept us up a bit too, but it's okay, keep that passion while you're young, he said with a smile, causing Naruto to sheepishly smile back and bow apologetically. Seeing Itsumi glare at her, Raizetsu inwardly smirked before turning Naruto's face towards her own, making out with him, causing the crew to holler in approval. "Ah, young love is so sweet," said the manager, Sandayu-sama, the one who hired them, something about wanting them as protection for their next film in Yukigakure, the land of snow. Naruto, however, told his teammates to be careful. Something was extremely fishy about hiring the most expensive and powerful ninja in the elemental nations for such a thing. Man, was Naruto astute, that is, when Hess not reduced to a gooey mess like right now. Speaking of which, he was still sucking face with Raizetsu. The white-haired girl, eagerly exploring Naruto's mouth, glanced at a seething Itsumi, her eyes radiating a smug take that bitch look, only pissing the Uchiha off even more. Raizetsu knew of Itsumi's crush on the young blonde, how could she not see it? She would have been as blind as, well, Naruto. But not only was she taking retribution for all the times Itsumi used Tsukiyomi on her, 47, she was also extremely possessive of her man. Don't misunderstand, she loved Itsumi like a sister, just like Naruto does. She thought with a devious smirk, but she loved Naruto way more than these people could possibly imagine. Seeing the Uchiha gripping the handle of her sword, she decided to end the torment by breaking the kiss, but of course, she wasn't going to stop completely, settling for latching onto Naruto's arms, causing the man to chuckle. Asama-san, Naruto spoke, his deep baritone voice causing the women on the ship to blush. "Please, just call me Sandayu." "What is it, Sir Dragon?" he asked, unsure what to call the unnamed ninja. "Just Naruto is fine, and..." Note that it's just Naruto. He considered Jiraiya a father, but he had no last name. He followed suit, he assured. "We are nearing Yukigakure from the looks of things. What are your orders?" "Oh? How perceptive of you, not that I'd expect anything less from you, one of the few S-rank shinobi that won't slaughter everyone you see for a quick penny. You're too kind. Well, since we'll be there in a few minutes, would you like us to take care of the 3 ninja that are set to ambush us as soon as we dock?" "What?" exclaimed many frightened crew members that are now fearing for their lives. "Oh please, there's no way, Hess just bluffing, probably going to pull some lousy trick and then come back saying he took care of them and ask for compensation. Happens all the time," spat a brat by the name of Lady Yuki. "Now listen here, you bitch," began Itsumi, aiming to defend Naruto before Raizetsu interrupted her. "Our leader is a fantastic censor, with skills that far surpass my own in that field, likely even being a stronger censor than the Nidaime Hokage, Tabarama Senju, but if you want to die, so be it," she finished, smirking as she saw Itsumi's glare. No, please accept my apology on behalf of Lady Yuki, she must be in a bad mood, please excuse her," said Sandayu, frantically trying to salvage what relations he could. "Please, I understand, don't fret so much, it'll bring out your wrinkles," started Naruto. "Looks like that conversation wasted enough time. We're here, guess y'all get to see our farce in person, Koyuki Haim," he said, gaining a shocked look from Sanayu and the Bitkaimeen lady in question. With that, he jumped onto the icy ridge of the island, his companions following suit. "We know you're there. You 3, now show yourselves," he called out. "My, if it isn't the heavenly dragons themselves," honored said a man with long purple hair, presumably the leader of his group. "My name is Natter, the woman is Fubuki, and the big guy is Mizer. We are the 3-man squad that serves directly under Dodo-sama," the name registering in the minds of Naruto, Koyuki, and Sandayu. The current big man on campus, kinda pitiful, Hess just a jealous brother who attacked his family out of greed, causing Koyuki to turn to him with wide eyes. "How did he?" "Everyone stay on the ship," screamed Itsumi as she felt a huge spike of chakra. "Hyoten. Tsubam Fubuki, ice release." "Swallow snowstorm," came from the pink-haired girl, perking Naruto's interest as he began to counter. Without molding hand signs, he molded fire chakra and released his signature beast. Heian. Kiryu Enden, duh. As the fiery serpent wrapped around the attack, shielding the ship from the icy blast, Naruto turned to his teammates. "They have chakra armor, making them a bit more annoying to deal with. Ryu-chan, deal with the leader. One-chan Yaoran, the big guy. Looks like I have a date with this bitch," he said as they nodded and disappeared, flashing to the other's location and kicking them away. Heian. Onid Oro, fire release. Demon Lantern, called Raizetsu, sending her signature ghostly flames to the smirking man. He didn't even move as the flames just diminished upon contact, causing her to narrow her eyes. "Careful Itsumi, they absorb, she trailed off, seeing Mizer slumped on the floor, dead, Itsumi sitting on his back. My Jinjutsu worked just fine, she said, staring on her fingers as if the fight was nothing. A tick mark appeared on her forehead as she seethed at being shown up in front of Naruto by the one girl she'd consider her rival. Wow, I would expect nothing less from Naruto's older sister, she taunted, putting extra stress on the Uchiha's title, turning the tables on her. Well, I guess I should get serious too, after all, not all of us have a Kekkei Genkai that acts as a crutch, she said, pissing the Uchiha off even more. Sugaden, water release. Water fang bullet, she shouted, as a water tendril from the surrounding ocean moved at a ridiculous speed, piercing the armor of Natter, causing him to scowl. Well, unlike that brainless buffoon, I don't rely exclusively on this toy, I actually have skills to back it up. Hyoten. Roga no Jutsu, ice release. Wolfang avalanche, face my beasts. He exclaimed with a twisted grin as, true to its name, an avalanche of 100 ice wolves chased them down the mountain towards the ship. Itsumi was quick to react. Doten. Doryu Heki. Earth release. Mudwall, the earth wall had caged in the stray beasts, preventing an attack on the ship. The mutual look between the two Kunoichi was all it took as they blitzed into motion, tearing the wolves apart with one thought on their mind. I won't lose here. Meanwhile, Naruto had been attempting to get answers from Fubuki, almost confident that his two fiery comrades would likely kill their targets. Why do you work for Dodo? Shut it, rat, I'd rather die before talking to the likes of you. Hyoten. Hyoro no Jutsu, ice release. Ice prison, she spat, Naruto already quick on the counter. Shakuten. Osarashi Hono, scorch release. Dreadful flame, he spoke in an uninterested voice, as the scorching blast transformed the giant block of ice into a puddle in seconds. Look, I really don't want to kill you, just tell me, what do you want with the princess? Let me think, how about this? Hyoten. Hisatsu Hyoso, ice release. Deadly ice spears, she screamed, a flurry of ice spikes punching through the terrain with the intent of killing Naruto. Shakuten. Hai no Tatsumaki, scorch release. Fiery tornado, he called back, as a huge stream of fire burst forth around him in a spiral, instantly melting every spear that made contact. Alright, I'm done playing these games. Jiten. Jiki Puru, magnet release. Magnetic pull. What? What is this, shy, she gasped, as she suddenly went flying towards him, having lost all control over her body. Suddenly, she registered the name of his jutsu. Shit. This fucking chakra armor. She thought, not having a chance to retaliate as she flew towards him. Mokuten. Hisui Kamusho, would release. Draining prison, he said, binding her while sapping her chakra, rendering her completely useless. How many fucking Kekkei Genkai do you have? She screamed, frustrated at how one-sided this fight has been. One, coupled with having every elemental affinity, of course, but that's neither here nor there. I have no reason to go into any detail. I'm the one asking the questions here, Naruto chuckled, taking off his mask to look into his prisoner, causing the pink-haired woman to drool. He is so hot. Let's try this again. What do you want with the princess? Please, don't act all high and mighty. Dodo said if we failed we were going to hire someone else. She said, gaining her composure before losing it again, looking into the deep ocean of his cerulean eyes. Who were they? Naruto asked, bringing her face close to his, causing her face to erupt in a mad blush. I'll tell you if you can give me one thing, she stuttered. And what's that? He asked. Instead of talking like he expected, she began to lean in closer, and as her mouth was agonizingly close to his mouth, she licked her lips. She went for the kiss and boy, her heart exploded. Sighing, Naruto shook his head. Why? Because it was literal, her heart legitimately exploded, courtesy of an exploding tag on her back with just enough powder to blast her organs to smithereens without inconveniencing Naruto in any way. Turning his head, he gave an inquiring look to his girlfriend. She was going to kiss you, she said with a haunting glare, having gone full Yandere on his ass. She deserved to die, she said, turning to the ship and firmly establishing a message to all the women on the ship. Back off, bitches, Hess mine. I see you defeated my teammates and my prized wolves, said one Natter, having just joined the group. I also see that the white-haired lady is one jealous bitch, earning him a harsh glare. I must commend you for your phenomenal fighting prowess. I see now why you are hailed as some of the strongest ninja in history, but there are many ways to skin a cat. Hyoten. The Kaku Hakuje, ice release. One-horned white whale. No. Hess targeting the ship. Screamed Itsumi, as an enormous ice creature sped from behind them towards the ship. She calmed down when she saw Naruto flashing through hand signs. If he needs to use hand signs, it must be a huge jutsu. Her call was right on the money as he finished. Araten. Hurricane no Kohai. Tempest release. Hurricane devastation, the blonde chanted, as he unleashed an even more destructive version of a natural disaster, combining his three strongest affinities, water, wind, and lightning. In a complex nature transformation results in his tempest release, looking over to the whale. The jutsu formed as something of a vortex, with lightning-imbued water being rotated in a spiral at godly speeds. Think of it like an elemental Rasengan hurricane, but concentrated onto a single target. Yep, just a fancy name for death. Having used this technique before, he labeled his most powerful tempest techniques as Kenjutsu, never wanting to see that devastation again. Though this was not one of these Kenjutsu, it was still considered an S-rank ninjutsu when he used it to completely obliterate a corrupt bandit village. It was also a trademark jutsu noted on his profile in every country's bingo book. The thought that he had even more powerful techniques frightened even his teammates. W1 Adder muttered, shocked that his trump card was beaten so brutally. TCH, he knew when he was beaten, so he did what any respectable shinobi would do when facing Naruto. He ran with his tail between his legs. Sigh, well we'll see him later, though I wonder what shinobi Dodo hired to do his bidding aside from them. Natter is listed in the Universal Bingo Book as a high rank ninja. Well in any case, he spoke to his two comrades before taking a deep breath and shouting I this region is safe now. With a thumbs up and the foxy grin we all love. Seen CHANGE. So, mind telling me exactly what that was about? I mean it was no problem, but Dodo will be sending much stronger ninja, and it just begs the question, why? I don't know, I don't even want to be here, asks Sandayu. Sandayu is addressing the crew right now, because they surely must be shocked to find out that the beloved actor Lady Yuki is actually the princess of the land of snow, Koyuki Kazuhana Haim. Fine, it's probably this, she said as she took out a necklace with a unique gem attached to it. It's called the Hex Crystal, supposedly able to unlock some kind of land of snow treasure. This must be what Dodo is after. I see, Naruto said, nodding in understanding. Now I have to ask, why does it seem that you hate the land of snow? Isn't this home for you? He gently inquired, genuinely curious and concerned about her past. Old you just love to know, she hissed. I bet you don't know what it's like to lose everything, to see your family murdered before your own eyes. I did. How could I? I have nightmares about this awful place every night. Shut the fuck up you bitch. Screamed Raizetsu, flaring her killing intent, effectively shutting the princess' mouth. Now you listen here, she taunted, causing the royal actress to shiver where she sat. Naruto and Itsumi both lived solely for the sake of protecting their village, risking their lives or even worse to keep everyone alive, yet they were the two most hated for it. The things they never asked for. They don't have a home like you do. You say your family was killed. Itsumi had to kill her own family. Naruto never had one because they died before he ever got to meet them. And as for me, I killed my only friend, my childhood friend whom I considered my brother, because I also didn't know my family. I lived in a prison for half of my life, rotting away and waiting until the moment I could avenge him, only to find out the man I once respected, his father, killed him. I saw a demon and lived to tell the tale. The fuck have you done? She ranted, leaking dangerous amounts of chakra until Naruto hugged her from behind, planting kisses on her cheek until she calmed down. Seeing the pitiful state of Koyuki, Itsumi added I'm sorry for her outburst, and it might come as a shock, but everything she said was true, painfully true she said, a tear escaping her eyes. All three of them were shocked when she suddenly shifted out of her chair. I'm sorry for being a bitch, I'm sorry for doubting your abilities, I'm sorry for bringing up bad memories, I'm sorry for everything, I'm sorry, she cried, disgusted at herself, as she dropped down to her knees and bowed with her head to the floor, begging for forgiveness. Princess Koyuki. What are you? Asked Sandayu, having just entered the room after addressing the production crew. It's alright, Naruto said with a smile, partially to the old man and partially to Koyuki. He knelt down and pulled Koyuki up into his embrace, causing her to blush and look into his eyes. Really? She asked, relishing the warmth he provided with a newfound smile on her face. Hi, you didn't know, besides, not many people's lives are as messed up as ours. I know it's difficult, but you need to overcome your own demons. The people need you, Haim, he said, causing her face to redden even more. Haim. He called me Haim, she thought with a giddy expression. When everyone else called me a princess I didn't care, but when he does. Ayano, what you did back there really struck me. It was kind of cool, really cool, she said with a love-struck gaze, causing the two female S-rank nins to narrow their eyes. It seems like yet another Bitcoin woman had fallen for his charms. The two girls that considered each other a rival, comrade, and even sister, looked at each other and shared a mutual thought. Pack and action. Screamed the director, as the cast of ninja began charging down the snowy hills towards Koyuki and her private bodyguards. Naruto looked onto the masses from a rather comfortable branch with a sigh, wondering if shinobi actually looked and acted like that. God, it'd probably hang up the cloak in a heartbeat, he mused. It had been 3 days of peace and quiet. There was no sign of Dodo or any enemy ninja, and he was growing restless. Dodo was not a patient man, that much he knew, so whatever they needed to prepare was going to be big. Koyuki suddenly broke out of character, causing the entire crew to face a fault. Sandayu. I need my drops. Loud groans were heard throughout the island. And cue another sigh from the heroic blonde. He lazily glanced over to the neighboring snowy treetops. Itsumi was completely asleep, snoring rather ungracefully, with drool flowing out of her ajar mouth. As soon as his eyes met Rias, the lass instantly perked up, putting up her hands and batting her green eyes in an adorable puppy look as she mouthed SEX. Expectantly, she pouted as Naruto laughed and shook his head no, before they all gained a serious visage. Itsumi also awoke from her nap, and the entire crew halted their current actions, as the very ground shook with a loud roar. Is it an earthquake? Came from a startled Sandeu, as the heavenly dragons flashed down to their clients. No, I'm afraid not, said Naruto grimly, as an extremely large train-like vehicle came to a stop before them. Naruto tensed as he eyed two figures from the head of the train. Oh? A bunch of actors playing ninja, how adorable, you really haven't grown up at all, have you? Koyuki, said a regal yet undeniably malicious-looking man as he and the previously encountered Nadarauga jumped from behind the mechanical beast's railing to in front of the group. Uncle, how pleasant to see scum like you again, spat Koyuki. Odo, you are the cause of the instability here in the land of snow. I do hope you are prepared to die, said Naruto, stepping towards the front. Oh? If it isn't the so-called dragon sage himself, it's a pleasure to meet the leader of the famous heavenly dragons. You certainly look the part, Dodo appraised, noting his enemy's tall and intimidating stature, but is your strength as immense as your reputation states? Without saying anything, Naruto began to speed through hand signs. Once he finished, he collected more chakra than most jonin pauses in his palm. Jiten. Kinzoku Hakai, magnet release. Metal destruction, he shouted, before channeling his chakra into a small magnetized sphere that he launched towards the center of the train. Upon contact, it pierced the exterior before it condensed and began rotating in a spiral at an extremely high velocity. Slowly but surely, the train was pulled into this bowl due to the magnetic attraction, the impossible speeds disintegrating the metal, as if it were a leaf in a campfire. Within seconds, the entire train was demolished into nothingness. The crowd looked on in awe as Dodo gave an annoyed and frustrated glare at the boy for ruining one of his favorite toys. I hope that was enough of a demonstration. I do hope you have actual skills, as opposed to simply a wide array of toys, he taunted, causing Dodo to flinch. Now then, how about we just save the unnecessary drama and settle this like real men? Perhaps with stakes that work more towards your favor, challenged Naruto, earning a curious glance from Dodo. Oh? How interesting, do continue with your proposition. Naruto smirked, he knew the greedy bastard wouldn't be able to resist his offer. I'm one of the most powerful ninja alive right now, you can't do anything until you deal with me anyways, so why don't we avoid wasting anyone's time and do this in traditional combat? Me versus you and your hired help, seems like decently even odds. If you win, upon my death, you will also have the treasure stockpiled by the heavenly dragons, in addition to your current objective. If I win, well, you're dead so I don't care, it's a good deal, though it seemed to heavily favor the enemy. Naruto was confident in his own ability, and this was the best way to avoid any unforeseen casualties. Hahaha. You're quite cocky, brat, but I'll take you up on your offer, though I think it's only fair for you to see the hired help of mine. He laughed, snapping his fingers. Two figures appeared from thin air, causing the ninja present to widen their eyes. It can't be, stuttered Raizetsu, while Itsumi narrowed her eyes and clenched her fists. Idara, Kakuzu, she spat. My, what a sour greeting, we're just gathering funds, it's not like we betrayed anyone. Oh wait, that was you, Ann. I need not attribute this quote to anyone, we all know who it is, cough Apasha terrorist cough. Konan is quite bitter about you leaving her as the only woman in Akatsuki, Kakuzu laughed. Naruto mentally grimaced at this revelation, he was the first SS ranked nin in history, but even so, taking on two A ranked and two S ranked nin would be tough even for him. Once secret techniques start coming into play, there was too much up to chance for his liking. We will be in the southern border of the village, you better not change your mind, or else we'll blow up the entire island and just take what's ours. Including, jeered Dodo, giving a lecherous look at the three leading females with a smug grin, vanishing from sight. Princess Koyuki looked to her blonde companion, who was clenching his fist and glaring at the monster that was once in front of him. She knew exactly how strong the team protecting her was, but nonetheless, she was scared, so very scared, they can't really do that, right? She stuttered, easily revealing exactly how terrified she was. I'm afraid it's possible, stated Itsumi, with a defeated look on her face. The blonde guy was Dodara the Mad Bomber, Hess, a member of the Akatsuki, the organization Raizetsu and I once were a part of. As his name suggests, Hess, a demolition expert, he has the firepower to level a country, much like Naruto here. Naruto stood before the group, clasping his fists together to gain their attention. With a determined foxy grin, he spoke like hell, it'll give them what he wants. I am touted as one of the strongest shinobi alive, after all. And they haven't seen half of what I can do, hell most of them don't even know my name. Itsumi, Raizetsu, stay with Koyuki, and guard her and the hex crystal with your lives. I will attend this little soiree, if anything happens to me, you know what to do, he said, flashing away from the group in the blink of an eye. Wait. Naruto tried to say, but it was too late. Naruto had gone to war. Naruto appeared on the battle scene in a swirl reminiscent of an electrified typhoon, rather fitting of he whose name is Maelstrom. Maelstrom of the Tempest release was by far one of his favorite monikers given to him by the elemental nations. He looked onto the evil quartet before him and simply held out his left hand in a come-hither gesture. Nader was the first to act as he blitzed towards Naruto and engaged a bored-looking blonde in a flurry of taijutsu. After a full minute of trading blows, Naruto decided that he had enough and tripped the snow nin. Following through, he jumped in the air and did a flip before bringing his foot down guy style, slamming down on Nader with enough force to crack his ribs, damage vital organs. And stay down, weakling, muttered the blonde, literally kicking him off to the side. The three enemy nins sweat dropped of the brutality that just took place before them. That's just plain bullying, what a worthless weak fool. I'm glad I hired you two just in case, Dodo muttered to his accomplices. You sure about that? Kakuzu asked, approaching the man before pulling out a kunai and stabbing the monarch in the back. What? Why? Dodo coughed out, blood flowing out of his chest as he slowly turned to his mercenaries. Sorry, it's nothing personal, but the plans changed now that a heavenly dragon is ripe for the picking. After all, you were only going to offer us a cut of the treasure. You'd only hinder us in our fight with him, and once we collect the bounty on his head along with all of your pathetic treasure, we'll never have to do another piece of shit job for the rest of our lives. You be bastards, he scowled, falling to the ground, lifeless. Naruto looked on with a raised eyebrow. Turncoats weren't necessarily uncommon, and it was well known that Kakuzu was a man out for money, but still, the fact. Oh well, he wasn't one to look a gift horse in the mouth. He began to mold chakra, knowing this was going to be one tough fight. And then there were three, he said, taking off his coat, and as soon as it hit the ground, the three vanished, the only thing visible to the human eye being sparks and the residual kunai and shuriken that were flying all around during their clash. Meanwhile, with the GIRLS. I hope Naruto-kun is okay, said Koyuki with a worried look, causing the dragon duo to glare at her. Kun, they both thought. Itsumi quickly dispelled the thought and moved to comfort her. After all, petty jealousy was not above courtesy to one's client. Don't worry, Raizetsu and I were once colleagues with these enemies. It was a dark chapter in our lives, and we had our reasons, but we were still allies nonetheless. They're just as strong as us, but trust me when we say Naruto is light years ahead in terms of strength and skill. Right, Ryu-chan? She asked, to nobody. Huh? Ryu-chan? She looked around before spotting her hurrying down the hall with what must have been a shadow clone of Naruto's. Koyuki, being oblivious to the shinobi world and its intricacies, was rightfully confused. Huh? Was that Naruto? Isn't he fighting Dodo right now? It's called a Kage Bunshin, a shadow clone, a physically tangible copy of himself that can do all the normal stuff with individual minds. Since Naruto's chakra pool is so vast, he can practically create infinite copies of himself, and every time he takes a solo mission or goes to a fight, or even just cause he can, he makes a shadow clone exclusively for Raizetsu until he gets back. It's also a way of letting her know he's okay, because given the amount of chakra he supplies to that particular clone, it won't dispel unless he actually dies, Itsumi explained. Koyuki gained a soft blush as she smiled, fiddling with her fingers in a way Hinata fans know all too well. I think that's really sweet. I wish I could be as lucky as her. She drifted off, causing a certain Uchiha to sigh. Try not to get too wrapped up in your jealousy. I've had to deal with this since Naruto and Raizetsu first got together, and Naruto is pretty much the best lover a girl can ask for, in every way, and it's so frustrating to see it, knowing that I can't have it, she muttered, clenching her fist. Even a cold princess such as Koyuki had to feel for the poor girl. I mean, it can't be that bad, right? Koyuki asked, hopefully. Yes, fuck me. Bakuten. Jiraken. Explosion release. Landmine fist, exclaimed Naruto from Kakuzu's blind spot, causing the latter to widen his eyes so fast. Naruto slammed the Akatsuki member into the ground before releasing a massive burst of combined earth and lightning chakra that resulted in a huge blast that burned into Kakuzu's chest, scorching the crater that he now lay in. Immobile, that's one down. Naruto turned to locate the other Akatsuki member, knowing that they always operated in pairs in order to catch the enemies off guard with impeccable teamwork and timing. He quickly shielded his body with a coat of chakra when he noticed a rather large spike in chakra nearby. You weren't the only one with explosion release. Kabaku Nendo. Kumo, Katsu. Explosive clay. Spider, boom, screamed a cackling voice from above as dozens of spiders continued to swarm Naruto, exploding on contact. Luckily, Naruto was one tough cookie, shaking off the blasts due to his chakra cloak and pain tolerance. It also helped that he was an explosion user himself. Let's just say training didn't always go well. Fueton. Shinkyu Uha, Wind style. Vacuum wave came from Naruto, spinning his body as he exhaled sharp winds at a velocity fast enough to pierce through several layers of concrete, destroying every little spider, while also pushing the explosion in a direction away from him. Turning his head to the sky, he questioned his assailant, Deidara, also known as the Mad Bomber from Iwagakure. You were once part of their esteemed explosion corps, why move to Akatsuki? He questioned. Shut up and fight. I've got the high ground on my clay bird, so don't act all high and mighty when you're at a disadvantage, like those bratty pretentious Uchiha. The terrorist replied. Say that again. Naruto growled, his eyes sharpening into an intense glare. You heard me, those bastard Uchihas always needed to get knocked down a peg. I'm glad most of them are dead. He laughed as Naruto looked down, his spiky blonde locks shadowing his visage as he muttered something incomprehensible. What was that? I couldn't hear you, I said it'll kill you. Naruto screamed, infuriated that someone would go so low to offend his Itsumi ni to such a degree. I'd like to see you try, Bakuten. Ninjo Kabaku Nendo. Explosion release. Detonating clay dolls. Deidara said, laughing hysterically as he laid back on his flying creation, letting our young hero play with his army of explosive toys on the ground. It's not like the brat can fly without a bird like mine, right? He hummed to himself, saying yep, that'll keep him occupied, with a smile. Oh really now? Taunted a soft voice next to Deidara's ear, causing him to shake in fear as he turned his head. Big mistake, Fueton. K's no Yaba. Wind release. Blade of wind, declared Naruto, as Naruto slammed a spiraling blade of wind into Deidara's chest, causing the bomber to scream in agony as his body was mutilated, blood spraying everywhere. Wait, blood wasn't white, oh shy. Atsu came from Deidara on an identical bird, laughing as his Jibaku Bunshin, clone that goes boom, consumed Naruto, or so he thought. You know, you're not the only one that can play with clones, Naruto said from behind the bomber, flaring his chakra, indicating he was now getting serious. Deidara turned to the man behind him, leaking killer intent as well, before the effect was diminished due to the look of shock on his face. TCH, what the hell? How are you just floating there? Deidara asked, slightly shaking in excitement, or was it fear? Oh you know, just one of the perks of being the most renowned master of wind chakra manipulation. Now shut up and let's dance, he taunted, dancing around his opponent while using his wind techniques to both levitate his body and to lash whirlwinds towards his opponent. Unbeknownst to our protagonist, a certain figure was recollecting his bearings on the ground below. Shit. I need to figure out a way to get up there, thought Kakuzu, trying to figure out how to even the playing field. It looked like the blonde brat was kicking his allied blonde brat's ass. Without Deidara's bombs, there's no way they could get into that treasure trove without the key, which was under immense protection. His plan was quickly formulated as he saw a stumbling purple-haired Snonin to his side. Naruto-san, come down and fight me like a man. In this fight I shall avenge my fallen comrade, shouted Natter before he was easily dismissed with a stab from Kakuzu's sword, comically bleeding out while skewered. As Kakuzu continued running, with a surge of chakra, he threw Natter into the air and performed an enhanced jump, doing a single flip in the air before stepping on Natter's body. With incredible precision, Kakuzu's foot stabbed into his chest just as Natter's body reached the height of his ascent, before releasing a huge chakra blast off of the soles of his foot to propel him upwards. The result was instantaneous, Natter's body plummeting at insane speed, smashing into the terrain in seconds, forming a human-shaped crater. Meanwhile, Kakuzu was pushed forward and sped to Deidara and Naruto's location. I must say, your skill with explosion release is phenomenal. It's a shame you work for such a pitiful cause, said Naruto. It's the best opportunity I have to show off my art. Smirked Deidara, before he twitched at his fellow blonde smirking back. What? Got something to say, brat? Yep, your clay has a great weakness, but why say it when I can show you? Raiden. Kaminari Nami, lightning release. Thunder wave. You're done foe, said Naruto, attempting to send a pulse of electricity to neutralize his enemy's clay, before he was interrupted with a tackle from the nin he thought he killed. You have interfered enough, brat. Now die. Hayabusa Itachi. Falcon drop, screamed Kakuzu, wrapping his legs around Naruto's body while restraining his limbs, descending with Naruto's head at the very bottom, similar to the Amit Renge, the primary lotus. Shit. I'll die at this rate, gotta think of something, but I can't move my arms, wait. Fudden. Kariki Muzu. Boil release. Unrivaled strength, shouted Naruto, heating his massive chakra pool to insane temperatures, blasting his enemy away from him in a high-pressured burst of steam, scalding and crushing Kakuzu's arms. This allowed Naruto to flip and regain his levitation by channeling his wind chakra once again. Kakuzu did not have such good fortune. With his technique disrupted, the only thing left for him to do was fall and land, with an audible crunch. Ugh, son of a bitch, that hurt, groaned Kakuzu, slowly pulling himself up from his weirdo-shaped crater with the one hand that was still attached. Unfortunately for you, I'm not easy to take down, witness the power of my Jongu, earth grudge fear, that weird thread shit. And boy did Naruto witness whatever that was. Despite being a SS rank ninja, he was still creeped out by what happened before him. Black threads channeled out of Kakuzu's body, slowly repairing and even reattaching parts of his body that were both dismembered and seemingly non-functional. Kakuzu smirked as Deidara swooped down and landed beside him. Now, here's a few things left on the list to do, but first things first, you need to die, brat. Please, you're a ninja, not a dressmaker, leave the sewing shit for someone else, Naruto taunted, making one wonder how he can possibly consider making fun of a S-rank ninja's kenjutsu in the middle of a fight. Either he was extremely confident in his abilities, or he was batshit crazy, perhaps a bit of both. Kakuzu won't have any of it, you brat. He'll show you exactly how powerful this sewing shit can get. Face my masks. Kaiten. Zukaku, fire release. Searing migraine. Futen. Atsugai, wind release. Pressure damage. Collaboration jutsu. Kaiman no Bakuin, weird beast mask flames. He screamed, the two masks detaching from his back, releasing a concentrated blast of fire and wind that melded together to send a raging inferno towards Naruto. Naruto reacted quickly, molding water chakra, pulling a feat not seen since the Nidaime Hokage Suiton. Sujin Heki. Water release. Water formation wall. Screamed Naruto, creating water from the atmosphere itself, forming a 5-story wall of water to shield him from being burned to a crisp. As the two jutsu collided, a large cloud of steam encompassed the battlefield, obscuring the trio's vision. Fueton. Tatapa. Wind release. Great breakthrough came from Kakuzu, sending a powerful gust to eliminate the quasi-smokescreen. You'll have to do a lot better than that, kid. You may be powerful, but you lack experience in this world. I've been here long enough to have fought your Nidaime Hokage, brat, he said, irked at the smirking blonde before him, until the latter poofed out of existence. Well, you'll see him again in the afterlife. Shouted Naruto from behind the Akatsuki members, causing them to widen their eyes. Bakuten. Rasen Shuriken. Explosion release. Duh, he launched one of his deadliest kenjutsu at the duo, as two more clones appeared from their sides to bind their arms, effectively immobilizing them. What? A shadow clone, but when did he? Kakuzu flashed back to the when Naruto used the water wall. From back then, tch, I'll admit you're clever, but it's not enough. Kakuzu said as he broke free from the clone's grasp and jumped up to avoid the glowing projectile. Meanwhile, Deidara was rapidly going through analyses in his mind. Wait, Bakuten. I'm sure he said it, thought Deidara, registering the jutsu's name. Shit. Kakuzu. Dodging isn't enough, has going to. The smirking Naruto interrupted him as he snapped his fingers. Katsu. He screamed, detonating his Rasen Shuriken in a light show that puts his wind-style Rasen Shuriken to shame. The explosive power was so strong that even though he was 1,000 feet away, he needed to shield himself with an elemental chakra wall. It was a good thing that the fight was on the southern coast, for the attack literally demolished the shore, so that where he was standing was now the new coastline. Kinda funny how most of my kenjutsu are labeled as such since they literally changed the map, yet I can't read one to save my life, he thought, amused, before turning around. I know you're still there, Deidara, I know you play around with clones as much as I do. Bess, you caught me, said the bomber, climbing up from the ground beneath them. Unlike my dead partner, I'm actually careful with my fights. He overestimated his capabilities due to his quasi-immortality. Oh, I wish he were alive so I could laugh at him. Worry not, you'll join him in hell soon enough, said Naruto, unsealing a sword from his arm. I commend you and your fallen comrade. You've caused me to use nearly all my chakra, but don't think I'm using this blade just as a last resort. You have the privilege of facing my Dragon Fang, one of the strongest swords in existence. The sword was beautiful, with a golden blade approximately 4 feet long, with runic symbols, and Skyrim anyone? And glowing waves on it. The hilt and guard was made of what seemed to be a rare fiery sunset gemstone in the shape of the neck and head of a dragon, with the blade coming out of its mouth. Thanks for watching.